Artlist.io.
Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop. Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop.
Music licensing reimagined.
I fucked up this Russell, yeah, we hustle, but the oh my. I fucked up this Russell, yeah, we hustle, but the oh my. What is my guys? Know that they fly, know that they ride or die.
Hey, good morning, Jared and Nate over at the Carrier Check Show. Excited to be here, Nate. What a short week. You know what I mean? Like just 3 days of just fast and the furious, and you're just drinking out of a fire hose all week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, tell me about your week, man.
No better way to put it than that. But yeah, short week, but I mean, gosh, we grinded on the emails the first day we got back, trying to get back to everyone. And Tire Killer, my man. That is awesome.
Tuscaloosa?
That's awesome.
No kidding, you're down in Bama. I love that.
That's sweet.
That's so good.
But it's been a good week. You know, we were able to help some people out. You know, it was a shorter week, but we were still able to help some people out and kind of get them on their way.
Yeah. So. Summer's just an interesting time. The hope is that people are taking a little time off. That goes for you too, Tire Killer. You need to take a little bit of time off.
I'm waiting for him to say I'm from home today.
I know, exactly. He hasn't said that yet. But, you got to take a little time off. And so scheduling, getting people in the right room at the right time, it's a little tougher right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even in sales calls. And we're going to talk about this today because we have the most interesting phone call. With this gal called in and just had the most interesting phone call. But summers are definitely one of those things. You have to have a little bit of patience with scheduling.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's gone.
Yeah. The summertime holiday weekends especially, like it gets crazy.
It does. It does. But with us even, honestly, I mean, you've seen our shows kind of we've had to adjust our shows a little bit. I took a little time off. Yep. You're taking some time off next week. I love that. Yeah. You just got to refresh. You got to reset and go.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm just super jacked for today. So I know about that phone call you got. New broker trying to get in this industry. What's the first 60 days look like for her? I didn't get to catch your whole phone call, but I was able to write down a few of the notes, and hopefully we can talk through some of those today. So.
Yeah. We honestly talked for an hour and 5 minutes, and we're going to sum up some of that stuff today. But you're starting a business in one of the most challenging environments, right? A very unstable environment, right? We see the numbers. Mm-hmm. We see how many brokers are applying for authority, those things like that. Yeah. She's committed here. Yeah. She's taken it to that next level, which I love, of going, hey, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do it right now. Right. And sometimes, honestly, if you think about like some of these large companies, I don't know if our programmers are watching, but some of the large companies came out of some of the best recessions there were. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so there's room. You have to have the right mindset, the right things. But it was definitely one of those things where we had to recap this call because, yes, in the first 60 days, you should be setting up your pipeline and doing some software. We're going to talk about some of the tangible things. Right. But our conversation was a little deeper than that. And I really kind of want to go into that. Okay. When her and I talked, we talked about, specifically, just being clear on your what, right? She's been in the industry before. Right. She understands the industry. She's just going out on her own. Right. So, her what was just a little bit clearer. But if you have a clear what, then how you're going to get there is stronger. Yeah. Right. And I'll give you an example. You and I are always working on our health. Right. This is a daily, weekly thing. We don't stop, right? Yeah. We're, should we have that glass of wine or should we be drinking that beer or maybe should we be eating that? But it's pretty consistent. We're always consistently going to the Y or doing stuff like that, right? But the guy that says, at the beginning of the year, of course, I'm going to lose some weight, right? Versus the guy that says, you know what, I need to lose some weight and I'm going to do this by consuming 1,500 calories a day. I'm going to do this by doing intermittent fasting, or I'm going to do this by working out at the Y 3 times a week, right? That's your what.
Right.
You know what I mean? You've got to be a lot clearer on it than I'm going to grow my business.
Right. Yeah, you definitely have to have that business plan, or just to kind of have to have that path and what it takes to get there, right?
Yeah.
Kind of with everything we got going on with our health. We have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Have to stick to the calories, stay away from the sugar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Etc. But that I think the business plan, and like you said on earlier this week, you were literally writing everything on this piece of paper to help you kind of form a plan, mark things off that you've done, so there's good things that you can kind of be doing.
Yeah. Especially
strategies.
When we talked, her and I, she even said we talked about her what, and her what was really clear. Yeah. Her what was, in the next 60 days, I want to build a relationship with 5 shippers. And not only do I want those 5 shippers, which she's an e-carrier check user, by the way, which I love, but not only that she say, well, I just want to lose some weight. She goes, I want to build 5 relationships with 5 shippers that are specifically using flatbeds. Yeah. That are specifically down in the Southeast. Right. Right. And so we went from this cloud to very clear. Here's our what. Right. Right. Because once you know your what and it's clear, then you can get to your how. Right. How are you going to get there?
Right. So essentially, if someone wants to start this brokerage of their own, and they're trying to lay out that 60 days, this is a good way to start, right? Figure out that what.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a what,
right, you need to get one.
You need to get one, right? Yeah. Right, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you watching, throw the questions in. Obviously Fridays we take a lot of questions. Yeah. We love questions.
We do.
I bet we funnel in more than 100 questions a week. Right. You know what I mean? People send us emails. We got an email yesterday, or I got a text via LinkedIn. And it just said, hey, I'm looking to do this in my marketing. How would you go about this? Right? Yeah. Yep. That's right. And I love that. And I think that, something that was probably really interesting about this lady, when she said, she goes, well, I don't have, and she was looking at it from this perspective, and I kind of painted it a different way. And I said, she goes, well, I don't have a lot of Facebook ads. I don't have a lot of money for a TMS. I don't have a lot of money for load boards. Right. And I think in her mind, she was like, well, I'm so restricted in resources, right, that was against her. And during the conversation, I was able to kind of turn her mind and say, you know what, you need to look at your limitations as something you can embrace. Yep. Because when was the last time, somebody backed you in the corner? Hey, what's going on, Alexis? It's good to, from SoCal. I love that. Yeah, if you're watching, tell us where you're from. We love to hear where people are from. We had that guy that called us the other day from Pakistan. I couldn't understand him. Great dude, though. Yeah. Really good guy. Really struggled with understanding him. I think it's because I have kind of a hard of hearing situation. I don't know where to go with that. But, I really wanted to work with her and say, you know what, although you don't have those resources, you need to embrace those limitations. Right. And I'll give you an example is if you're backed into a corner in a fight, what are you going to do? You're going to fight. Yeah, you're going to fight. Yeah, right? Yeah. You're going to cover your face up and just start wailing away, right? You've got to embrace those limitations, because if you look at the most innovative companies in the nation, in the world, wherever you want to, the most innovation, the best innovation that comes out of small startup companies like ourselves, right, who don't have huge resources. We don't have huge resources, but guess what? We bought a camera. Yeah. We bought this fun little, I wish we could turn this around. We got an O light like you see on TikTok. It's wonderful. Yeah. We've had 15 mics. We tried a $15 one. Oh gosh, yeah. Go check out our very first video. You can tell we were in the corner. Exactly. Yeah, we were in the corner. We were back and we just made it work. Right. So her limitations can be overcome by action. Right. You know what I mean? One of the best quotes I heard this week and this was from James Clear. If you guys haven't read Atomic Habits, one of my favorite ones ever. It says, curiosity is the beginning of knowledge, but action is the beginning of change.
Yeah. Yep.
Soak that one in.
Yep. I enjoyed that quote because you sent me that yesterday, and that really, some of you really got to soak in. You know what I mean? And this goes as far as with everything in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about something we want to change, but action is that key.
Yeah.
So obviously she's in this corner. What action is she going to take?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys talk about some actions, but there's definitely some actions in her situation that we kind of talked about. Maybe get on LinkedIn, see some personal videos, or whatever it may be. But hopefully she can get out of this corner for sure.
Yeah, because
I think she can.
LinkedIn's free.
Yeah.
Connecting and networking is free. Your time is right.
Right.
But right now she has 0 clients. She has a little bit of credit because of how she's starting the company.
Right.
But you're starting in uncertain times, and you almost have to make unreasonable choices in order to get a little bit louder. Right. And I loved her. Finally, it turned her mindset, and she was like, "Oh, you're right. I don't need $1,000 a week in LinkedIn ads and $1,000 a week in this. I just said you need to focus on what you want to become."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if she wants to build a network where she gets those 5 shippers, well, then where are those 5 shippers at? She already knew they were in the Southeast.
Right.
And guess what she needs to do? She needs to start calling carriers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In that area.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wrote down too. Is within those first 60 days, start calling those shippers and those carriers in those areas that you know more about. Maybe. Yeah. That's something Shaggy likes to say. Start local. Yeah. And then start branching out. Right. So a few things you can kind of learn from Shaggy there as well. Check out that page of his. It's saying he goes live every day. Right. I mean, lots of free content too. Yeah. So check him out. But yeah, start building those relationships. Start getting yourself out there, whether it's joining Facebook groups. Like, I'm in 25 groups right now, and periodically throughout the week, you're just dropping a post in there. You know what I mean? Try to build some connections in those groups somehow. And then I think in addition to that is you're building relationships, you're putting yourself out there, you're investing in technology.
I love that. I love that, Alexis.
I've listed 70 shippers already. Yeah, that is huge. That's a great pipeline. That's awesome. Exactly. And I'm sure that's a niche pipeline for her too. You know what I mean? So like, if you can find that niche or something you can get yourself into, I think it's a great starter.
I agree.
And then investing in technology. I know she doesn't have the funds for maybe a load board and maybe e-carry check all at once. But like you said, maybe you got to do some things that you don't really want to. So maybe get that load board, right? And then hopefully down the road we can get her on e-carry check and start helping her build more relationships. Yeah. But financial is another issue too. When you're trying to that first 60 days.
Credit's crazy.
Right.
She, found the resource. This is kind of interesting, but we always talk about being resourceful. Is she went to a factoring company that will back up freight brokers.
Nice.
And it's like, she was resourceful. She said, "Here's my issue. Yeah. Here's how I'm going to solve it." Right. And she didn't let that mountain pile up and take over that. And at least with her, right now, there's some of the people that are watching, today that they don't have some of the scars that she has. She's been in the industry for 4 years. She's got some of those scars, and we talked about failure, and I said you need to fail as fast as you can, but take action at that failure. And what I mean by that is, and you played baseball, you played collegiate baseball, which I love. You know what I mean? You high level baseball player. And if it's 1-2, the count's 1-2, and a ball's coming in the middle,
you're protecting.
But you're also not afraid to swing.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think it's really important. Hudson and I play, my youngest son, we play horse all the time. Actually, normally pig. And to be honest with you, right now, what I'm focusing on is not so much that I'm a stick at pig, by the way. I'm a stick pig, but the biggest thing is I want to show him and get him to understand. So how we play pig is you get P, then you get I, and then G, and there's a fork in the road at the G. Yep. The first one is he can say, "Prove it," and I can go and take the shot. Right. The second one is he can go, you know what? I'm going to put the failure in my own hands.
Yeah.
Right. And so what he's learned from playing pig, and I dominate him every time. I don't care if he's 8 or 9. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to take him down. But what he's learned is that he's willing to put that's, called strike 3. He's willing to put that potential failure on his shoulders and say, I'm going to make this shot or I'm not. But either way, I'm in control.
Right. I love that analogy. I know it's not really an analogy, it's a story, but I love that because think about calling a shipper, right? And you kind of get turned down. You're going to try to improve it to yourself. Hey, I'm going to call again kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to take away from that. You know what I mean? I think that shows character. You don't want to give up on yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
You're just in that corner. Let's just fight out of it. So
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
I hope Hudson beats you one day.
Eventually, I'm sure he will. He's got a good shot on him. But
Yeah.
I do think, when you think about, yourself and building up on yourself, she mentioned a couple things, and this is just down the road of your old path was, she always said, I'm terrible at cold calls. And I said, the person that you hang out with the most. And she goes, yeah, I hang out with my mom a lot. And I said, no, you hang out with yourself the most. Right. And she goes, oh, that's true. And I said, you need to talk to yourself in positive ways. You need to believe in yourself in positive ways. Am I that great at cold calling? I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I believe in myself.
Right.
Right. And I don't say, God, I'm terrible at cold calling.
Yeah.
Right. I believe in myself.
Right.
So something that she got out of this call was, you've got to believe in yourself because you're hanging out with yourself. If you can't get along with yourself, I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I just love that she is using those resources like you asked. And I think we're one of those resources. All it takes is one shipper to change everything for you. Yeah.
Honestly.
Jared's been saying that since day one, and it's true. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the one thing that people come to me and they'll ask me, like, hey, if I sign up today for your carrier check, am I going to get a shipper, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many calls are you making throughout the day?
What's your effort?
Are you grinding? Are you playing pig, right? Outside Jared's house, continue to play that game.
Yeah. We're one relationship away.
Right.
You hit it on the head.
Okay.
You're one relationship away, and that could be with a shipper, with a carrier.
Right.
Yesterday, I mentioned this to you, but John Lennon met Paul McCartney at a garden party that their parents went to.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And, at that particular time, they didn't know what they were getting into, but that relationship, not only did it change, the music industry, but it changed their lives, sold 600 million albums plus later. And you're just one relationship away. And that can happen from a garden party that your parents go to or whatever it may be.
Right. And I think in addition to that is customer service. We are providing a service in this industry. So, things may not go your way, but focus on how you control your emotions, stuff like that. So within those first 60 days, you're definitely going to be stressed.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've been there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm definitely not a counselor by any means, but I've definitely had the phone calls with people saying, I'm stressed. I don't know what to do. Like, don't give up.
Absolutely. It's definitely hard to continue to be motivated or hard to be creative when you feel like you're just trying to survive. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think we talk about this every day. Making those mistakes will help you learn. And, I know we love to tell stories, but just like over the 4th of July, my niece trying to hold some fireworks. I was like, I don't know, but hey, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but no, for sure. I think, customer service, I think is a huge thing. I'm really big on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think something that she had a leg up on, I think I caught her day, 20 or something, day 15. And she goes, I've been talking to quite a few shippers and I'm having a little bit of success setting them up. I haven't gotten shipments yet, but she was having a little bit of luck. And I said, don't be afraid if things are coming easy to think bigger.
Okay.
In our particular case, what is going on? What's up, man? It's good to see swinging sticks and buzzing the greens. Oh my gosh, I love this. I don't know who you are, but it's friggin'. I love that it's the Shaggy Misfits. I'm a big fan of Shaggy.
Yeah.
Shout out to him there. But don't be afraid to think bigger. We had a call yesterday with a company that I would have never guessed when we started this adventure.
Yeah.
That that I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be your own lid. and you just have to be open to thinking bigger, to thinking what could truly this become.
Right.
And it was just it was a great conversation with this lady.
Yeah.
Now that's some of the high level stuff,
Right.
If we bring this down just a scotch, let's just bring it down just to some tangibles, right?
Yeah.
It's Justin. Oh my gosh, I love that.
What's
What's
up,
up, Brandon? What's going on? I'm glad you're on. Justin's been on one of our shows before doing cold calls. The guy's insane.
We'll have to get him back on.
We will have to. So happy early birthday. Yes, it is Nate's birthday.
How did you remember
He
that?
is 30 tomorrow. He's 30 tomorrow.
I think it might be Dan, but how the heck did you remember that?
It is.
Cheers, brother.
30 years old tomorrow. I can't wait to hear what happened Monday.
Oh gosh.
But I know you're going out to a band tomorrow night. Love
Yeah.
live music. Live music's my favorite.
Yeah.
But let's bring it down just a little bit. Obviously, we talked high level. Being clear, embracing your limitations. Don't being afraid to fail. Taking the shots when you fail. But let's get real. Let's get some tangible things out there.
Yeah.
You mentioned some relationships.
Yep.
Boy, I tell you what. When you first started, let's just rewind for a second. You've been here for
Almost 2 years.
almost 2 years. It's coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah.
Do you remember that first week?
Oh gosh, do I? Yeah.
Never been in this industry.
No.
And I was like, hey, I've got an issue and I need you to solve it.
Yeah.
And this is so funny. I don't know if you remember this issue or not. And I said, I've got all these emails. People are coming in.
Yeah.
They're saying they're interested in doing demos.
Yeah.
And I'm just drinking from a water hose. At this particular point, it's
Yeah.
just me like doing,
Exactly.
it's just a mess, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I got all these emails and I need you to start staying organized, right? And I think something number one, in the first 60 days, you have to get organized. You've got to get to a point where, you've got processes in place to pay the bills, to set up carriers properly, to manage paperwork.
Oh gosh.
You are going to get a load. What happens next?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't know if I had that full mindset other than I was just drinking from a fire hose, but I remember saying, Nate, I got all these emails. I'm going to forward them to you.
Yeah. And 3,000, 5,000 emails later.
Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
And I just kept forwarding them to you, and just going. And you were a champ, but you ate the frog and you got us organized. And now, 2 years later, we have one of the greatest email lists,
Oh yeah.
of all time.
Yeah. I mean, every single person that's ever heard of us or signed up with us, like, I got your name, got your number.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, most definitely. That organization is huge.
it is.
If you're not sure on how or what needs to be organized, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Contact.
We can do another show.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Let us know.
Yeah.
We'll help you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need the forms, let us know. We'll help you.
Right.
There's some basic things that you need to have in your arsenal, and process and being organized is one.
Yeah.
Right. Number two is you do have to get some software.
Yes.
In today's world, you don't have a choice.
Nope.
Dial a truck is not something, if you guys didn't know what that stand for, it's not necessarily, now I'm showing my age. This is why I got a haircut this week. But you got to have some software.
Yeah.
And you need to choose the best software that fits in where you're at in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all these people talk about it and they're like, oh, you got to have DAT and truck stop, and you got to have, this rating system, and you got to have all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things are definitely necessary, right? You have to have some of those things. But to get going, you can probably work through things.
I agree. Yeah. And I think if you can weigh out your pros and cons here, because I have a lot of users that will tell me, hey, I'm using, load boards, any carrier check.
Yeah.
But here's what the load board can do. So this is why I use you.
Yeah.
So definitely figure out what plans are best for you.
Yeah.
To help you save back on cost.
You'll get to a point when you need more software. And I'll give you an example. We started to do, I was doing like, guys, I'll catch up later. Nate, enjoy the B day, man. Hey,
thanks,
take
Justin.
care of yourself, brother.
Thank
It's
you.
good to have you on. But here's when I knew I needed your help. I think I was doing like 30 demos a week.
Oh yeah.
We were getting, several hundred emails a week. It was to the point where I couldn't do anymore. And I'm like, I need some help.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that she recognizes. She goes, hey, I need some help. And there are people out there that'll help you.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I would call it the Haas model.
Right.
help as a service, right? You can get some of the greatest people to get on the phone with you. Shaggy, Charles Bundy. There's some amazing people out there. There's other consultants that are out there that I can say, hey, they've got their teeth cut. They're willing to help you, and it's pretty cheap.
Yep, exactly. And I think one thing that we almost overlooked is I think my second week here too, you must have been sick, but you had me do a demo for a pretty big company. And at that time, obviously, I was 2 weeks in, didn't know what's going on.
Right.
I'm over here sweating, trying to talk to these people, try to put my marketing face on, right? But after that phone call, I learned so much. I'm like, I need to understand what this is, what that is, because they brought this up. I'm writing down like words that they said I didn't know was a thing. Like I learned so much from that on that second week of just going out there.
Yeah.
So, when you're new to this industry, maybe call a shipper, have a conversation, listen to what they're saying, write it down, ask questions.
Yeah. And I think, I've been a part of jumping into this industry. I remember in 2008 when I first started, and you got to think I came from jewelry sales, right? I came from jewelry sales, and people were talking LTL and truckload and classes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I just stayed my usual self and was curious, because I think people like to teach others, right? And if they can help others, there's a certain point that you know what? Hey, I'm new here. In fact, to be honest with you, I got to tell you something that's really random. I remember being 8 or 9 years into the industry, and I remember saying, you know what? I'm new here. Can you teach me a little bit about this? And all I was really trying to do was understand more about their industry. But I stayed curious, and I just found that I would recommend doing this, by the way. Always say that you're new because people are willing to teach you.
Right.
People are willing to do that. Now, not everyone, levels of shippers want more sophistication.
Right.
We talked to a guy this week. The guy's been in the industry for a couple decades. He only works with top, Fortune 1000, 500 companies. And some of those guys need that sophistication, right? They need that guy to bring in solutions that maybe the transactional freight broker isn't going to bring to the table.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, if you're a freight broker, and something that she mentioned, she goes, I don't want to chase all the time. I don't want to be transactionally running. And I said, well, here's what I think you should do. I said, nothing happens till something's sold. And to find something that's, consistent, you need to build into that with relationships. You're going to be a transactional broker until you get to that point where you are a solutions provider and you're going. Everybody chases. But boy, it's a lot of fun. I remember there at the end of me being a broker, it's a lot more fun when you come in the next week and you know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
I got 20 shipments already booked. Yep. The guy even mentioned, he's like, I got shipments booked out for 3-4 weeks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
so transactional brokers, right? It's a grind. You're constantly doing it. There's a business and a market for it, right? Having some of that contract work is really beneficial, but you're not going to get there until you follow the steps of learning the industry, being a solutions provider, going from a level 1 sales guy to a level 4 sales guy. If you haven't read Anthony Iannarino, incredible friggin' books I've read with him. And he talks about that level 1, level 4, but you've got to make sure that if that's what you want to get into, just stay focused on that. Right. So many people get so caught up in that transactional world.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. I think, the question of the day is, is starting a freight brokerage easy? Is that first 60 days going to be a breeze? No, it's not. Have that dedication, have that consistency, and, reach out to someone like that lady did. So, definitely possible.
Yeah.
Take some hard work.
Boy, I tell you what, it's hard in a good economy.
Yeah.
It is tough in today's economy. And I love this lady. Yeah. I love that she's ready to go out on her own. She even said, she goes, I feel like this is the right timing.
Yeah.
And I was like, good for you. Yeah. Let's go. And we'll get her on the show here in 6 months, a year, see where she's at and what's going on. But it's definitely possible. One of the ladies that I remember talking with when I first started, I did an interview with this lady. Her name was Maria. she I think she hit $1 million in 6 months in revenue,
Mhm.
and that was in good times, right?
Right.
And getting those 5 clients like she's talking about, staying focused, getting organized, getting some software.
Stay to her business plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just stay focused.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And the last thing that I just want to hit on, and you already kind of talked on this, but she, like I said, I think she was probably 3 weeks in to her 60 days. And, she goes, what do I do if I'm just tired of making sales calls? It's a legitimate question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Right? You're grinding, you're trying to get people on the phone, you're trying to say, hey, love this. I really think it's an emphasis, and Tire Killer is the man here, and focus on finding those carriers that you can trust in the areas.
Right.
Because having those conversations, what's funny is I got when I first started brokering, I built a relationship with this incredible carrier, and especially when you're a new broker company, I'm a mother of 5. I have to make this work. I'm good at researching. It's the cold calling. It's a little hard. I appreciate your videos. Yeah, thanks for being on.
That's your why.
This is it
why.
right
Yeah.
here. You got 5 kids, and it's tough.
It is.
You got to keep grinding, and you got to keep building relationships. And where I was going with that is one of the first loads I ever moved was with this guy, and I called him and I said, hey, you got 20 minutes to talk. Everybody's always friggin' busy, but a carrier, they're always busy. But it was interesting. He goes, yeah. He goes, and I said, I started to ask him about his business, his equipment, which is where you learn, where you get some of your scars. What are the hardest things you're dealing with? How's fuel prices?
Yeah.
And I said, if you had a sales team, which a majority of carriers don't, right? This guy had 17 trucks. He didn't have a sales guy. It was just him and word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I said, if you had a sales team, who would you reach out to that would make the most sense? And he literally filled up my pipeline with 7 people that he's like, yeah, if you get them, call me. And I'm like, of course I will. Yeah. I ended up getting, out of the 7 people that he gave me, I ended up getting 2 of those people on the truck. And he and I had the most incredible relationship for about a year. They had some changes in sale or shipping managers, and they kind of did their own thing. I think they bought a couple of their own trucks. Just stay consistent, stay focused, and just keep grinding. And when you need a reset, take a moment.
And I think there's always ways that you can be doing something differently. Like if you get tired of phone calls, I get it. Call some carriers up. Yeah. And with those carriers, I would definitely recommend asking those questions you just mentioned. Yeah. They don't want to hear a sales pitch. Yeah. They want to know how you can, how you can help them. Yeah. And what are they struggling with, right? But I think with like shippers, you get tired of calling them. I get it. It's hard. Tired of getting no's or whatever it may be. But, maybe stop in once in a while, shake someone's hand, or, send a flyer or whatever. But, there's other ways to kind of get yourself out there without making a phone call too. But I'm still a big fan of making phone calls, of course. But there's other ways.
Absolutely.
So just brainstorm.
Obviously, Nate, you and I have had the opportunity to be a part of something really special and build one of probably what I think is one of the best sourcing and relationship tools that's out there.
I agree.
You can vet carriers, you can find carriers. Our classifier that our programmer, shout out to them if they're watching, but the classifier that they built is so deep that it can help you find, the carriers that make the most sense for you, right? In whatever industry you're in. Right. Obviously, if people want to touch base with us, they can email us, they can get on our website, you can do demos. But how do people get in touch with you, Nate? Like, obviously, you're the right arm here. You're doing the punching. What do you got?
Yeah, just go to ecarriercheck.com. You'll see a good phone number that'll get right to my phone. And then that email as well will go out to our team. But let us know how we can help you. Yeah. If you just need some brainstorming ideas, or maybe throw in a phone call, we'd love to listen to it. Anything, we really like to do it. And to add to what you're kind of mentioning, yeah, we have a great software, but our community is great. So thanks
incredible people.
Those are here today, and those of you that are subscribed to us. Yeah. Like, honestly, best community I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Awesome. Guys, I hope you guys just have an awesome weekend. I know it's just a quick week. Yep. Back to the grind next week, 5-day week. And we're doing what we do. So we'll see you guys next week. Yep. And thanks for watching. Have a great Friday.